All right. Moving on to our next bit of movie news. Again, this was an article, or rather a video sent to me by Matthew Wiles, and Matthew Wiles is commenting in the live chat right now. So thank you, Matthew, for being part of that conversation. And our next bit of news is this. We've known for a little while that J.J. Abrams has been attached to a new Superman movie. There hasn't been much movement in this. It was a little bit more than a rumor. Like, we kind of knew that something was happening. It was a little bit nebulous. Well, now there is a writer attached to the film, being directed by J.J. Abrams and produced by J.J. Abrams' Bad Robot Company. Oh man, I hope I get this name right. Ta-Nehisi Coates. That's the pronunciation I'm going with. Ta-Nehisi Coates has been attached to write the new movie, the new Superman movie. Let's jump into the article real quick for a second. As we scroll down, of course, J.J. Abrams will be producing, and according to the Hollywood Reporter, they're setting it up as a Black Superman story, and I think that is the most interesting part here. Acclaimed essayist and novelist Ta-Nehisi Coates has been hired to pen the script for a future reboot of Superman, which will be produced by J.J. Abrams. To be invited into the DC Extended Universe by Warner Brothers, DC Films, and Bad Robot is an honor, said Coates in a statement to Shadow and Act, a website dedicated to the African diaspora in the arts. I look forward to meaningfully adding to the legacy of America's most iconic mythic hero. I think this is really interesting. Of course, these are all the details that we know about this so far. And I can very easily see some controversy coming up about this. Superman is not black. Sometimes he is. Go back and read the comics. Do a little bit of research. There are some storylines where Superman is not portrayed as a tall white Caucasian man. And I think this is interesting. I think this is really interesting territory to go in. It's hard when you have a superhero like Superman, who is invincible in virtually every way imaginable. Oh, yeah, but kryptonite. Okay, yeah, I get it, kryptonite. How do you tell a personal, relatable story about a god from outer space who, virtually can't be touched? But Mike, he was killed by Doomsday. Yeah, okay, I get it. I understand. Like, I'm not saying that Superman can't be hurt. It's not that he can't be touched. But for all intents and purposes, he's the day-to-day type thing. He's invincible. You can't shoot him. You can't push him around. He's got laser heat vision eyes. He can, scorch you in half. He can cut you in half with his eyes. Like, how do you create a relatable human character in that regard? It's hard. So I think it will be really interesting. Now, I'm not familiar with Ta-Nehisi Coates' previous work. I looked him up on IMDb, and he's got a whole bunch of credits. I'm not familiar with any of the projects that he's written for or been attached or as a producer before. I'm just not familiar with his work. So I can't say, for better or for worse, that based on his previous work, that this is going to be awesome. I don't know that. But I do know the level of quality, for the most part, that Bad Robot Productions and J.J. Abrams are associated with, and they're usually pretty good. I take my issues with Rise of Skywalker, of course I do. But when J.J. Abrams stepped in to do Force Awakens, it was high profile. It was big stakes. And in my opinion, he delivered. I loved Force Awakens. I unabashedly loved it. Is it a perfect movie? No, not by any stretch of the imagination. And I understand J.J. Abrams wrote that script. He wrote the story for it. at least. So that had his fingerprints on it. This Superman movie is going to have Ta-Nehisi Coates' fingerprints on it. Okay, cool, great. Let's see what he does with it. I'm not one of these people that is. Some things I'm a traditionalist about, some things, but when you start talking about the race of Superman, he's an alien species. It's just coincidence that his body chemistry happens to look like a Caucasian white male. He could look like nearly anything else. But Mike, he needs to fit. Okay, yeah, he can fit in by looking differently. I'm interested by this. I'm interested to see what the story. There's even the TV show. Oh, it just came out on HBO Max. The new Superman and Lois, I think is what it's. I can't remember the exact name of it. But the whole idea is that Superman is now a father of 2 teenage boys, and how does Clark Kent navigate a world as a father? I mean, like when he was single or casually dating Lois long before he became a father, what are his problems? What are his struggles? Like he didn't have, okay, yeah, he had Lois in his life that he was, constantly trying to protect, but she got herself into a lot of trouble herself, right? So now we kind of get to see what the life of Superman would be like if he, like as a father, as a protective father. He's Superman, but how does he save the world and protect his family at the same time? That's a really interesting concept. And I think this is an interesting concept. What would Superman's modus operandi be like as a black man? I think that's a really interesting concept. So yeah, I'm really interested to see what Ta-Nehisi Coates comes up with along with J.J. Abrams. I think this could be a really interesting, fun fit, and especially with all the other stuff that DC is doing right now, they need to test the waters. They need to try something new. They need to go out and be a little experimental. Where Marvel has their formula and it works for them and they like it, and even though that they have their formula and it works for them, they're still trying new things. They're still kind of keeping it within the same framework, I guess you could say, but they're still doing new interesting things, like with the whole multiverse kind of thing. So we know the Flashpoint Paradox movie is going to kind of push the reset button on this a little bit. We know that DC's already reached out and branched out and started trying new things. Like they have some R-rated movies in their slate. Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn, the Joker movie, upcoming The Suicide Squad movie. They're all rated R. Not because they're trying to be edgy, but because that's the story that they want to tell. And they're not shying away from telling those types of stories visually the way that they want to. I think that's really interesting. So to take a chance, maybe it won't work. Maybe a Black Superman movie won't work and it won't be received well by the audiences. But guess what? We won't know unless we try. This could be the coolest thing ever. This could totally Do you remember how when Samuel L. Jackson popped up at the end of the first Iron Man movie as Nick Fury, nobody cared that Nick Fury was now black. Nobody cared because that was the coolest thing ever. We're all just like, hang on, what? That's what? And now Nick Fury's black. Great. Awesome. Let's open the door for diversity. Let's try something new, try something different, go down a road that has been unexplored. I loved the casting of Michael B. Jordan in Fant Four Stick, the garbage movie. I still contend the first 30 minutes are great of that movie, but when they cast Michael B. Jordan as or when it was announced, rather, that Michael B. Jordan was going to be playing the Human Torch, everyone was like, hang on, what? No. And it turned out it was received just fine. after the movie came out, it was even before the movie came out, it was received just fine, and people were open to it, and it worked for the story. It totally worked for the story. So like I said, I'm really interested to see what they're going to do with this. What are your thoughts? Jump on down to the comment section below and let me know. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. If you like this video, click like. If you really like this video, click subscribe. And if you really, really like this video, click share. Because that is exactly what the golden idol from Raiders of the Lost Ark would want you to do. Whoosh, whoosh.